Hey, what's going on, everybody? Ibrahim, Nwagui Corporate Dropout University, and this is another episode of the Check-In, where we check in with our favorite entrepreneurs, hustlers, and influencers to see how they have been doing in this ever-changing climate. I'm excited to have this very dynamic individual here in our presence. I will not muddy up her introduction. I will allow her to introduce herself and the many hats that she wears, or at least some of them, because we can't even digest them all right now in this setting. So I'm gonna let her just, do her thing. Miss Centrell.
Thank you so much for having me, Ibrahim. I don't even know that I want to mention the many hats. This whole entrepreneur, hustler, influencer thing, it's wild in this space. And I kind of feel like we all kind of, fill those roles at some point in our life. Yet I'm Centrell Reed, and I am the owner of Cree. Centrell Reed put it together, Cree Global Media. And I focus on what can I do to help others win. And media is always a space where traditionally you have not seen as many of us authentically winning. And I've always wanted my own entertainment company. So creating Cree Global Media 3.5 years ago in 2018 was like a culmination of something that had been brewing for years and years and years, right? Since 2000, 2001. So I was pretty happy to do it in the city of Houston. Very diverse, very open, and just an entrepreneurial city, an entrepreneurial leader, which is great. You can find all kinds of businesses here and access to resources that you need to grow it. And from there, creating Cree Global Media led to Cree Global Media Television and Cree Global Media Studios. And so having our studios headquartered in the Galleria area of Houston, and then being able to launch our television network, streaming on everywhere that you go to watch TV, Roku, Apple, Amazon, web TV at creeglobalmedia.tv, or even on your iOS or Android devices, has been this really wild journey, right, of education. And then I thought, we probably need a lot more support because Houston is such a big space. Where's everybody that's in the entertainment industry? And people were coming in asking me, hey, where's everybody else that's in the entertainment industry? So we created the International Entertainment Partnership, which I am the president, founder, and chairwoman of, to expand the entertainment industry and presence in Houston and around the world, in places where it is not visible for diverse communities, and to provide opportunities in finance, job, and economic improvement. Those are just a couple of the roles that I hold besides the nonprofit organizations, the coaching and mentoring that I do. So everything culminates into how do we build people to be better. So
That's a lot to unpack.
It is.
I'm going to let the viewers, I'm going to let them unpack that at their own pace.
I'm still unpacking it. I'm still unpacking it all.
No, that's an inspiration. I mean, for me personally, and I know that, I know a few people individually that are personally inspired by you and just your story. So thank you.
That makes me feel good. At least I'm doing something that's leaving a legacy. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. So this is where it takes a turn. Yeah, this is where it takes a turn. The leading question is often overlooked in these types of conversation. It's a very simple question, and I'm going to shut my mouth after I ask it. It's a very simple question. It's, how are you doing?
Oh, that's a good one. I keep saying, and I probably said it this whole last week, I am pushing. That is it. And I believe that whenever you know that you're a powerful person, and I've always felt that I'm a powerful person, and you know that you're not the end in the decision, that somebody else has to come and match that power. Someone else has to come collaborate with you. Someone has to add to what you're doing to make that thing whole. It's always the when. When is it going to happen? The pandemic has probably had a lot of us pushing in spaces that we had no idea that we would be. So personally, I'm constantly pushing my faith, pushing to be persistent in the things that I knew before the pandemic and the things that I want to see after, pushing a business that even in the pandemic saw less revenues. And what do you do during that time? And I know a number of entrepreneurs, but just business owners in general can attest to that. So I say I'm pushing because nothing has changed about me. I'm still powerful. I'm still smart, still innovative. I'm still thinking of ways in which I can collaborate to expand the media brands of our clients, yet the environment has changed. So adapting to that and persisting in it and pushing through all of these different dynamics is where I am. So that's what I am. I am pushing.
So now you said that you kind of posed the question. You said that like, what do you do when something like the pandemic, right? There's never been anything like the pandemic in our lifetime.
Yeah.
So let's make it specific. What did you do? Where was Cree Global before the pandemic?
Mhm.
Pandemic hits, pivot. What was
That's
that?
exactly what it is. Yeah, that pivot. So before the pandemic, we were servicing clients obviously on site with video production, also off-site, right? So doing events for our clients in different venues throughout the city. And of course, all of those things stopped. You're not going to be in person doing any videography or production work. It just, until we get a handle on it, right? So then the next thing was where do you fill in that revenue? So specifically for us, video production offsite is very lucrative. They're bigger budget opportunities. So that's a lot of revenue to have to, substitute, right?
Mm.
Started looking into virtual options. We have our CGM television platform. We're able to add, virtual live streamed experiences, whether that's conferences, galas, things like that. Yet you also have bigger players in the space, Zoom, right? People like to go to those platforms, yet they also need someone to produce those different events for them. And what we saw was a lack of money for those types of things that would have normally been done in a venue. People they couldn't assess a value to it. They felt like because it was done inside of a building on a computer, it obviously has to take less resources, and it doesn't. The coordination and the run of show and the planning of those productions, doing the graphics, all of that stuff is still par for the course. And so there was a different education there. Yet we started to do more with our clients who were podcasting. Unfortunately, they had to do it at home. So it became more DIY, which when you're doing it at home, that's less revenue because you're not utilizing our studio. So the price points are different. Picking up the virtual live streams and things like that was a little bit of a challenge. We're not the biggest players in the space. So doing that didn't bring us a whole lot of new clients. What we did do was we picked up a new service, Zoom production. That allowed us to, some of the corporations and organizations that didn't have someone who was, tech savvy, we started running their Zooms for them. A lot of news articles out there of people who were working from home and would only be dressed from the waist up. And then as soon as they jump up, what do you see? You see all kinds of things. Some people bringing their laptops and tablets into the bathroom in very embarrassing moments. And others where people didn't know that they weren't on mute. And they started talking about people that were on the call. And most of these companies didn't know how to turn those things off. How do you silence them? How do you keep your meeting on track, intact? And so we started running Zoom production, and we persisted in that service. So we still run Zoom productions for those organizations because they may not have hired someone to learn Zoom or some of the other platforms that are out there. So we learned it for them and we run their Zoom production. So that's specifically how we pivoted, and that helped to fill in the gaps of some of the revenue. Consulting, especially with businesses that didn't know what to do, and increasing their presence during the pandemic. they didn't know the first thing to do because they couldn't be in person anymore. This is where advertising and things like that pop in. And then, of course, I still did my coaching just for a little less of a fee because we were all impacted. And besides those things, I looked for resources. What are the resources out there that they were offering to businesses? We took full advantage of those as well.
It's important. It's important that that I do this every time I have this type of conversation, and I ask this question in particular. 99% of my interviewees, they had an experience where they pivoted and they ended up discovering something that that was probably going to be a little bit better for them going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, and I think that speaks to the spirit of the entrepreneur. Period. Like we already know that we're going to have to pivot anyway. Like that's kind of our lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's a little case study that I've been doing, right? I'm like, okay, I have yet to have a person on here tell me that the pandemic hit and I lost all hope and my life was ruined and like it's just over me. I probably wouldn't even. Maybe it's just my selection process, right? I probably wouldn't even have found.
Or you have the real ones. You have the real ones.
Exactly. So let's talk future. Let's talk about the future for Cree Global. 5 years maybe pushing it, or is it? What is your vision for Cree Global over the next 5 years? What does that look like? What should we expect?
Well, our vision is to be the most sought after media partnership for our clients globally, and we have global clients now, and that also includes our television streaming platform. So my vision and what we're working towards right now is, one, how do we bring the creators out and teach them the business of entertainment, especially with all of the opportunities that are available right now with blockchain and NFTs and things of that nature. IP is one of the things that most creatives do not think about, or they really don't have the luxury to think about, because they're putting their projects out, and this is their passion, and all of these things. And the social medias of the world really have people focused on being popular, as opposed to having things done the right way, being well established, focusing on your craft and making sure that people are giving you value for your craft. So the focus for Cree Global Media is to make sure that we are their partner in that success. And then, of course, to be partners in the success of organizations that are focused on entertainment and the independent creative. The International Entertainment Partnership and a number of other entertainment-based organizations will be home with Cree Global Media. So wherever we are, we would like to establish that community that allows for people to come, get access to opportunities, be able to create their projects for their businesses, their commercials, their shows, their films, whatever that means, training so that they can do all of these things on their own when they want to, really express their own creativity and see what they're made of, as opposed to having to pay for it. There's so many things. In the next 5 years, Cree Global Media Television will be home to smart TVs, and we will be a space where the independent, those who have streaming platforms now that are just on websites, or maybe they have Roku, or they might just have Amazon, or they might just have Apple TV, as opposed to having that worldwide and global access on all platforms. We would be the house for them to have access on all of those spaces. So you'd be able to go to Cree Global Media Television and get access to a number of other streaming platforms that you really love right there on your smart TVs. So that's part of our goal, and to have a film studio presence in the Houston, greater Houston area. Whether we do that partnering and collaborating with others, either way it goes, our goal is to be a part of that bigger accomplishment. So those are the things we're looking forward to in the next 5 years from a business standpoint.
I'm excited for you.
Thank
I'm
you.
excited. I think that at some
I'm
point.
excited for us too.
Yeah, I want to say,
That
if
to
you're not
happen.
excited, I'm excited. I can
I am excited. I am really, really excited. We've made a lot of headway, and the conversation is a buzz. It's all the details that go behind the things that you don't see. The duck on top of the water, and the water is nice and calm, yet the feet are moving really, really fast. You know, so it's all of those things happening, and then just hurrying up and waiting. Right. So that's the environment that we're in.
that's the biggest. That's probably one of the biggest problems for obstacles for driven, like highly driven individuals. You know, it's the hurry up and wait aspect. Um, I'm going to shift gears. Speaking of highly driven individuals, you yourself, what or who do you attribute your drive? Like, where did this come from? I know you didn't just wake up like this. Where did this come from?
Yes, I woke up like this. What do you mean?
Shout out to B.
It's a great question. Where did it come from? The drive. I can't really say where it actually came from. I'm always trying to figure out what I can do and what I'm capable of. And I was supported when I was little up until now. And so always having examples of where I was capable, you know, where I was able to do things. I come from a military family. My dad always instilled that, you know, you just have to be resourceful, and you just keep going, keep asking the right question, keep being a friend, and you'll find friends. You know, my mom, don't do things half-ass and you'll get good results, right? So those are the things that I kind of feel help to ground me. I have grandparents who were entrepreneurs, and they picked themselves up from their bootstraps, and they provided a great life and great foundation for us. All of those things that I was seeing when I was younger helped to contribute. I'm also a consequence person, so I'm the kind of person that will see someone do something the wrong way, and no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not trying to run down that same path, do the same thing, get the same results. Yeah. To observe people, see what they do well, and like, that's how you get that. I'm going to do that. That looks like the right way. So I'm not wasting time. And then those people that are doing things that seem like they're not getting the things that they need, desire, want, I stay away from that kind of stuff. So for me, it's everything that I've probably come in contact with that has made me who I am. Now, I don't know where the drive itself comes from, except for that, you know, all of those things culminated. And once I win, once I do something and I accomplish it, it's like, well, snap, what else can I do? I know that now. Sometimes it's to a fault, because sometimes I can push myself to the brink of something because I know all the ins and outs, and it makes me a very risky person. There's no risk without reward, no reward without taking risks, and I don't have a problem taking risks. My family will tell you that. So,
well, and I'll tell you why I asked that question. Right, the reason that I asked that question is, of course, is ulterior motive. Right, I'm the father of two small ones. Right, and then I'm also just a student of successful people, and I try to find like similarities. And in a lot of the cases that I see, it stems from the upbringing, right?
Yeah.
Like the parent, they make their their business may not have been like wildly successful, but they were business people, or they were just like abnormally creative in a way. They were spunky in a way. Like the parenting, it seems like they had some. I read this book. I read this book called The Outliers, right? I call Outliers, right? So I love that book, and that's every single person that I study. There's like something that happened in childhood, and it triggered, and then they've been that person from when they were small, or there were like signs that they were going to do something. And I also think that's important, because then if we know that, then we may not be able to hit the mountaintop in our lifetime, but we know that, okay, well, if I plant seeds in the smaller ones in these people, by the time they become adults, they will probably have a better shot.
Yes.
And so that's why I'm always interested in figuring out, well, what's the backstory, you know? Because I mean,
Yeah.
even though you woke up like that, I know that you know just fabulous on that level.
Intentionally. That means I went to sleep like that too.
And see, that's the part they don't say. Today's
Right,
success
exactly.
it started yesterday. It started last night.
Yes, exactly.
So and that brings me to your brand of advice, right?
Mhm.
And I want to point it at a specific group. I want to think about a young person who has ideas. They may not be in an environment that particularly will cultivate those ideas, but they want to be an entrepreneur at some point in their life. They're right at the brink. They're a bit discouraged. What would be your brand of advice to reignite and to help them to push themselves to be who they want to be, who they see themselves as being in the
Wow.
future?
You know, I can't say that is just one piece of advice.
Yeah.
You know, and it kind of makes me really emotional about it because there's so many things you have to tell yourself as an entrepreneur or as someone who's pursuing something, whether you are a top athlete or you have a goal and you don't have examples of in your family or with your friends on how to achieve it. You literally have to believe in you. You have to believe in what you are capable of, and capable does not mean you have everything right there. You know, as you're studying these outliers, there's also a book that I was reading recently, probably last month or so, because I read a lot, and it's called Grit. And the woman in that book, she has done all of these surveys, and she's going to West Point, and she's going to all of these top schools, and she's checking on all of these people who have had goals, endeavors. They hit the top of their class, they hit the top of everything they do. And it's not that in the backstory they haven't had setbacks or disappointments or things that have happened that were not anticipated on their journey, you know, loss and all of those things. It's that they persisted through that they kept going. And that's the only thing that you have to do. It's absolutely the only thing you have to do is keep going. Everything that you are thinking of, you are believing that you should at some point accomplish in this life, that is proof positive that that's likely the path you should be on.
Yeah.
You just have to keep going, because the first door you walk through is not going to be on the other end the answer you were looking for. Many of the doors you want to walk through will be closed, the windows as well. And even the people that are walking next to you might walk through the door and leave you on the other side. There are so many things that happen, and you have to believe that for you, this is possible. For you, this is where you're supposed to be. For you, this is what you're supposed to be doing, whether or not you see evidence of it at that time, because that's the whole piece. You know, my dad was an entrepreneur. He had his own communications company. So yeah, I did work for my father when I was in college. And he literally made my sister and I the managers of the business. He didn't go to business meetings. He didn't meet with Sprint and Verizon and all of these companies. No, he would send us. He didn't meet with any of our vendors, or he would send my sister and I, a college student and a high school student. And we were responsible to make sure that the vendors were paid, to make sure that our customers paid. We also had to learn how to fix beepers and cell phones and all of these things. That was a foundation, right? I can have conversations with people about business things. And then corporate America helped to hone in on those things. That's why I know that even our entrepreneurs, our social media, our grown entrepreneurs, there's so much more to well-round those skills that you need to run and scale a successful business outside of just tech. You have to have a network. You have to have people around you that help you to see that when you keep going, that you're going to get to the point that you want to. So that's my advice. Persist in that power. Keep going in the thing that you know, not that everyone else is telling you, you know what, Centrell, I agree with your vision. I agree with what you think you're going to be. You don't need their approval. The vision wasn't theirs. It was yours. It's your destiny. You were chosen for it. That's the reason why you thought it. It's the reason why you felt it. So the advice is always to keep going.
Mic drop. That's the mic drop. Look, let's shift gears one more time. We're gonna shift gears.
One more
Yeah,
time.
we're gonna shift it one more time. And
you're trying to do a pandemic reenactment on me. It's like
I gotta keep you sharp. I gotta keep, you might got too comfortable over there. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Never that. That is so funny. Okay, what do you got?
I have my rapid fire questions. It's a few. I would like for you to answer them with one word if you can. I mean, we can keep it to a phrase, but one word if you can. Okay. And just go with the first thing that comes to mind, and we'll see what we get from this. You ready?
Okay.
One word. Describe Centrell in high school.
Reserved.
Reserved. See, this is why I like this. You would have never known that. What is the one thing that you must either do or have before you consider your morning started?
Prayer, meditation, time with God.
Okay. Title of the most influential person in your life?
Mother figures.
Mother figures. Spirit animal.
Ooh. I'm going to say a lioness.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And final question. When it's all said and done, one word to describe Centrell now.
Powerful.
Powerful. I agree. Yeah, that's a good one right there. I like that one. All right, so here we are. This is probably the most important portion of the check-in, and that is, I would like to know, as your supporter and as a representative of your community, how can we best continue to support what it is that you're doing?
Well, and I you asking that, I consider support also something that comes in the form of collaborating, understanding what each person is doing and being able to connect in that space. That's also how we build our networks. You're able to see that in social media. What are the things that you're doing that we can find some similarity or even just a connecting point where we're able to do things together, where we're able to share in each other's endeavors so that we get one step farther down the road. So that's what I would say. Besides that, I know that you're working on a number of other things besides the check-in. I'm really passionate about kids and young people and them being able to be heard and groomed at a very young age so that our communities can be stronger because the mindset of our kids is stronger, right? Yeah. So where we have the same type of synergies there, I would love to explore that with more television content that supports our kids in their education and their foundations in finance and things like that. Share Cree Global Media TV. Let people know that it's there. It's a platform and share that our studio is here to support the small businesses and businesses that are looking to create their video assets. Let folks know that we're here to help them win. And the other piece is make sure that we are investing in one another. I think that's the bigger piece. A lot of times we'll say things like support, and support means that I'm supposed to not add value to you, yet I should just be asking. That it should be a two-way street. Adding value means, what are your products and services? I should be partaking in those. I should be buying those things. I should be participating in that in an investment way. And we should be out adding value to one another. So those are the things that I would say. And I'm looking forward to exploring some ideas with you we've kind of already talked about. So
Yes, yes, you are on the list. I had a
yes.
very, very, very good conversation earlier. And yeah, we'll definitely have that conversation further. Give us everywhere that you can be found, or that you want to be found. Yeah,
Right. We
give
won't
us
be
all
throwing
that.
out any addresses or anything like that.
Nah.
Except for web addresses, check us out at creeglobalmedia.com and creeglobalmedia.tv. It's also Cree Global Media on all your social media, as well as CGM TV Network on social. And then I can be found at the Centrell, that's THE Centrell on your social media as well. Or you might even find me under Centrell Reed. I found out recently that there's other Centrells. So yeah, Centrell Reed, just in case. I wouldn't want you to run up on the wrong person asking a question that they have no idea about. So the Centrell on your social media, or centrellreed.com for those who want to be coached and help to bring them to the space that they want to be in. It's all about where you want to go and what you're willing to do to get there. So I'm here for that.
Centrell, thank you again for a very, very dynamic, powerful interview. I appreciate you. I want to thank the new people who will see this, and I want to thank my I don't want to call you old, but my vets, my guys, gals that have been supporting what we do. You guys should know, and the new people probably don't. But our motto, and if you don't know, shame on you. Not you, but if you're a motivated hustler and your hustle motivates, then of course you have to check in. And that's where we are. Thank you, Centrell. We will have a conversation. Thank you all. And that will conclude what we got going on today. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.